מרבים בשמחה מי שנכנס אדר מרבים בשמחה היי מי שנכנס אדר מי שנכנס אדר מי שנכנס אדר מרבים בשמחה מי שנכנס אדר מרבים בשמחה מי שנכנס אדר מי שנכנס אדר מי שנכנס אדר מרבים בשמחה מי שנכנס אדר מרבים בשמחה אשר ישלטו היהודים המה בשונאיהם אשר ישלטו היהודים המה בשונאיהם חג פורים חג גדול ליהודים מסכות רשנים שיר וריקודים חג פורים חג גדול ליהודים מסכות רשנים שיר וריקודים אמן אלישע ברשנים אמן אלישע ברשנים ברשנים ויהי בימי אחשוורוש המולך מהודו ועד כוש המולך מהודו ועד כוש 27 מומי המדינה 27 מומי המדינה המולך מהודו ועד כוש המולך מהודו ועד כוש 27 מומי המדינה 27 מומי המדינה חייבים איש לביסומי חייבים איש לביסומי לא ידע על עץ גבוה על עץ
ומרדכי יצא מלפני המלך בלבש מלכות ועטרתיו ומרדכי יצא מלפני המלך והעיר שושן צהלה ושמחה
ליהודים הייתה אורה ושמחה וששון ויקר ליהודים הייתה אורה ושמחה וששון ויקר שושנת יעקב צהלה ושמחה לראותם יחד תכלת מרדכי שושנת יעקב צהלה ושמחה לראותם יחד תכלת מרדכי תשועתם הייתה לנצח ותקוותם בכל דור ודור ברוך מרדכי היהודי ברוך מרדכי היהודי
Hello everyone, almost Chag Sameach. We're about to start the beautiful festival of Purim. So if you are there listening to this class, please use the chat to say hello. I would like to know who is connected now at the beginning of the class. Let's see. I haven't seen anybody, any messages yet. Any messages? Don't be shy. Use the chat. Hello, Feige. Good to see you there. Chag Sameach to you. Today, hello, Judy. Welcome, Chag Sameach. I had a very interesting technical challenge today because, as you know, I like to use, hello, Priscilla. Chag Sameach. I like to use a green screen, but if you use a green screen, then you cannot wear green. So how come I can, thank you. How come I can wear green if I have a green screen? Very simple. I'm not using a green screen today. I'm using a blue screen, which I never used it before. It's on the other side of the green screen, so you have to flip it. So I can wear green, but I cannot wear blue. This is kind of bluish, but it's okay. It's the screen rejected it, so I'm happy. I'm happy that I can wear this tonight because otherwise I was going to be in panic. This was my costume for today. I made a rookie mistake to pick something green, knowing that I have a green screen. Well, I learned something new this year. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Priscilla. I know I'm a jester today. I kind of wanted to wear this because that was the hat that Robert Didich used for all the advertisements at Sherry Zedek, for all the Purim activities. If you see it, okay. If you see the photos on our website, you will see that Matthew Leibel is wearing a green hat and I'm wearing like a jester hat. So I decided to do it. Yeah, purple and green. We are going to study about Purim today. Just in time for the holidays that we are going to start celebrating tonight. So what do we know about Purim? Well, let's start. Let me bring here Purim. So we know that we celebrate Purim on the 14th day of the Hebrew month of Adar, but if Purim falls on a leap year, it's celebrated on Adar Sheni, on the second month of Adar. You know that once in a while, every 2-3 years, we actually add an extra month to the Jewish calendar. So instead of having 12 months in a year, we have 13. Why is that? Well, it's very simple. Because the Torah follows a calendar based on the moon. But it also follows certain holidays that they have to be on specific seasons of the year. And in order to calculate the season, you need a solar calendar. It means a calendar that follows the sun. So because the lunar calendar, the calendar that follows the moon, is 11 days shorter than the solar calendar. So the problem is we get out of sync with the seasons, and in order to bring them back on sync, so for example, Pesach will be always celebrated in the spring. What do? We add this extra month of Adar every 2 or 3 years. This year is not a leap year, so there's no confusion. Only 1 month of Adar. So we celebrate Purim tonight, the 14th day of the month of Adar. And why do we do that? Well, like pretty much everything that we do in Purim, we learn it from the book of Esther. Most of the things that we do are coming from the book of Esther. It's not that we do it because the book of Esther says that we have to do it, but because the rabbis decided that whatever the book of Esther presents makes sense, so they adopted it. Hello, Rocky. Chag Sameach to you. Why is this so important to understand that we don't do it because the book of Esther says it? Because we have a principle in Judaism, and that principle is that we cannot learn halacha, that is Jewish law, from anything outside the Torah, which means the 5 books of Moses, Genesis to Deuteronomy, plus the oral law. And the oral law means the Talmud, basically. And so that means that we cannot learn halacha from the rest of the Bible. So everything that you look at the rest of the Bible and it looks like it's a new law is not a new law. There is no obligation to follow anything, because the prophets didn't come to teach anything new. The prophets came to remind us what we're supposed to do. So there is no new halacha in the Bible outside the Torah. Okay? So how come we are doing all the things that we do in Purim? Because the book of Esther says it? Isn't that learning halacha from a book other than the Torah? Nope. That means that we still follow the words of the rabbis. We still follow the words of the rabbis, because the rabbis read the book of Esther and said, this makes sense. With our rabbinic authority, we are going to create a festival, a holiday based on the book of Esther. And that's why we do what we do, because the rabbi said so, not because the book of Esther said so. Very important theological principle at play here. So I wanted you to know that. So let's see what the book of Esther says. As I mentioned, the rabbi said it makes so much sense. So let's see what it is. Okay. So book of Esther, chapter 9, verses 20 to 22, it says, Mordecai recorded these events, which events we're going to see in a minute, and sent letters to all the Jews in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, both near and far, instructing them to observe the 14th day of the month of Adar and the 15th day every year. Okay? So the book of Esther says we should celebrate because something big happened. What is it? To commemorate the days on which the Jews obtained rest from their enemies, and the month which for them was turned from sorrow into gladness and from mourning into a holiday. They were to make them days of celebrating and rejoicing, sending portions to each other and giving gifts to the poor. Encapsulated in those few verses, there are so many things that we do these days, and we are going to analyze all those details during the class today. But for now, I wanted you to know why we celebrate it on the 14th day of Adar, because the book of Esther suggests that perhaps we should do that. Okay? Very nice. Now, what do we do before Purim? That's important too. It's great to know what we do during Purim, but it's also good to know what we do if we have to do something before Purim. Number one, we have the tradition of giving the half shekel. You see those coins there? Those are shekels. The original shekel, not the Israeli shekel that we have today. The original shekel from the times of the kingdom of Judah that they were using in the land of Israel, right? So the rabbis decided that on the eve of Purim, there is a custom to give 3 coins to charity to recall the half shekel. In the word of the rabbis, the machatzit hashekel, donated annually to the temple treasury during Adar. 3 coins are given because in the Torah portion dealing with the half shekel, this is in the book of Exodus, the word teruma, donation, appears 3 times. Each coin should be the denomination of half the standard currency in that country. For example, half a shekel, half a dollar, half a pound. The money is then given to the poor. Okay? It's interesting because we don't have half in Canada, not in one coin. We don't have 50 cents. We have 50 cents? I don't think we have 50 cents. No. We have quarter, right? But not 50. So, but the idea is to give 3 times charity right before Purim in memory of the half a shekel. We have 50? What is the 50, Rocky? I don't know. Hi, Michael. Thank you. You love the hat. Yeah, I'm trying to be goofy today. It's Purim, so we dress up. What is the 50 cents Canadian? I don't know. I haven't seen it. Anyway. Oh, it used to be, but we don't have it anymore. Okay, I haven't seen it. We have 5, we have 10, we have 25 cents. And then we jump to the dollar, and then we have the toonie. Right? Yeah. Okay, so that is one thing that we do before Purim. So if you haven't given charity, you still have part of the day to go and do that. Then what else we do? Oh, by the way, this charity is a charity that you give specifically because it used to be temple related. Traditionally, it's something that you do through your synagogue. It's basically a donation to the synagogue in memory of the half shekel given to the temple. I make this distinction because there is another tradition during Purim that is to give money to charity, but that one is personal charity to a person. The half shekel is something that is done through the synagogue. Okay. The other thing that we do, Michael, I said nickel, dime, and quarter, right? But there is no half. At least I've never seen it. And even if somebody has it and it's something that is not commonly used, I don't think you're going to give it away, right? So anyway, so let's continue. The other thing we do is we fast today. If you haven't fasted today, doesn't matter. You still have a chance next year because you didn't know. Next year, right before Purim, you have to fast, which is interesting because once Purim starts, the tradition is to drink a lot. So be sure to eat something before you drink. Okay. So why do we fast on Purim? Because Esther, one of the heroes of the story of Purim, fasted right before she went to talk to the king to save the Jews. It's coming also from the book of Esther, and I want to read it for you. Esther had then returned this answer to Mordecai. Go, assemble all the Jews to be found in Shushan, and have them fast for me, neither eating nor drinking for 3 days, night and day. Also, I and the girls attending me will fast the same way. Then I will go in to the king, which is against the law. And if I perish, I perish. Then Mordecai went his way and did everything Esther had ordered him to do. So what happened is Esther fasted. Eventually, she went to talk to the king. Everything was good. So because the fast was a successful fast, we fast. We don't fast for 3 days. We don't fast for 3 days anymore. I think that it used to be common back in the day, but no, we don't do that. It's a half-day fast. So basically, you fast from morning until the beginning of the holidays. That's it. It's not like Yom Kippur from the night before. This is a short fast. In fact, if you're an early racer, you can wake up really, really early before it's light outside. You have breakfast and then you don't eat for the rest of the day, which is sometimes I do that anyway because I don't have time to have lunch. So yeah, nothing new for me today. Okay, so let's move on into Purim. What we do for Purim. Shelly Chochinov, hello Shelly. He said in the UK, there were, maybe still are, half pennies, aka half pennies. Michael Legoff, you should know that. You should know what's going on in the UK better than anybody else in this group. So if Shelly is right, please let her know. Okay, so what do we do on Purim? The most important thing that most people remember is the reading of the Megillah. What is Megillah? Megillah means scroll. Why? Because we read the scroll of Esther. Technical name should be reading the Megillat Esther, reading the scroll of Esther. But because pretty much this is the only Megillah that we read, because basically if you have the book of Ruth, for example, that's also Megillat Ruth. But long story short, the only one we read in this kind of public ceremony is the book of Esther. So when we say Megillah, everybody knows that is the book of Esther. Okay, so that is one of the most typical things that we do. By the way, remember we have the public reading of Megillat Esther tonight at 6:45 p.m. So we have at 6 p.m. the Mincha Mariv service, and immediately after we are going to continue with the reading of the Megillah. It's going to be mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Why? Because it's not only it's going to be the traditional reading, right, with the scroll and everything is subtitled. So you don't have to do anything but sitting in front of your TV, in front of your computer, and enjoy the reading, because everything will be subtitled so you will know, for many of you maybe for the first time, what's going on. As the reader is reading their parts, the subtitles will scroll on screen. I think it's going to be amazing, and this is so accessible, so everybody will be able to participate. So don't forget, tonight, 6 p.m. Mincha Mariv, 6:45, around 6:45, we're going to start with the reading of the Megillah, plus a few songs and other surprises that we have in store for you. Peter, welcome to the class. You said 50-cent coins no longer in circulations. Yeah, I gather. Okay, so let's continue. Reading of the Megillah. Why we read it, we are going to see in a minute. It said, the scroll of Esther, Megillah, is read on Purim night, and again the next day. So again, we are going to read it tonight, and tomorrow morning after Shachrit, it's going to be repeated. We read it in the synagogue because the larger the crowd, the greater publicity is given to the miracle of our being saved. The entire Megillah must be read from a kosher scroll, which, by the way, we have. We have a beautiful one written by the late Irma Penn, Zichrona Livracha, blessed memory. She was an amazing scribe, one of the few women that was trained to be a religious scribe, and she wrote this beautiful Megillat Esther for us. It was a commission, so was one of the last works she did before she passed away. So yes, kosher scroll, written with proper ink, proper parchment, etc. Every word must be clearly heard, which is interesting because we have this tradition that, you see, the custom is to make noise and the mention of Haman's name. But we have to be careful because that's why you will see that usually the way it's done is the reader says Haman, then everybody yells or makes noise, boo, etc. And then you stop, and then the reader continues. Why is that? To fulfill these commandments that the rabbis decided that every word has to be heard. So if there is noise and the reader is still going on, you won't be able to hear those words. So if you're following the reading tonight, remember, you boo a little bit after the name of Haman, and you stop, and the reading is going to continue. Okay? So why do we boo and make noise at the mention of Haman's name? I'm going to keep reading. In keeping with the command to wipe out the remembrance of Amalek. Who was Amalek? Bad dudes. Amalek was a nation who attacked the Jewish people when they left Egypt after the Exodus. First war we have to endure. But the funny thing with Amalek is it doesn't really say why they attacked the Jewish people. We have many of the wars after. And then the reason will be clear. You say, well, because the Jews wanted to go through their territories or whatever, so they were protecting the territories, and they have kind of a reason to go to war against our nation, against our people. But for Amalek, doesn't say anything. It just says that they attacked, and not only that, they attacked the weak, the sick, everybody who was kind of left behind, people who were tired. So Amalek cowardly attacked those people. And because of that, the name of Amalek became the synonym of anti-Semite. Something that some people don't know. In this day and age, and actually we have lots of controversy about it because of the way it's used, usually our way to mention or to call somebody that is an anti-Semite, we say it is a Nazi, right? And it's pretty obvious why. Because of what the Nazis did. But before the Nazis, we had Amalek. So before the Second War, the way to say you're an anti-Semite was you're an Amalekite. That was a traditional way to say that somebody was an anti-Semitic person. You're an Amalekite, descendant of Amalek. Because every anti-Semite in history could be, according to the rabbis, traced down to the seed of Amalek. Yes. Okay, so that's why we, and Haman, but basically we will see in a minute that Haman was explicitly in the Megillah linked to Amalek. So Haman was a real Amalekite. Similarly, the Shabbat before Purim is called Shabbat Zachor because the Maftir portion, the last Torah reading, features the commandment, the mitzvah, to remember Amalek. We have the obligation year after year to remember what Amalek did to our ancestors, which we did this last Saturday in synagogue. Okay, so this is mitzvah number 1 for Purim. Remember, as soon as Purim starts, we read the Megillah, which is the story of Esther. And the Megillah is telling this, how Haman, the Amalekite, tried to destroy the Jewish people, but because of the intervention of Queen Esther, who was Jewish, and Mordecai, our lives were spared. And at the end of the story, not only our lives were spared, we were victorious in a big, big way. And Haman, who tried to kill us, was killed instead. I don't want to give you too many spoilers because I'm pretty sure you're going to be there tonight at 6:45 enjoying our Megillah. Okay? 6:45 tonight. Let's continue. What else we do on Purim? Mishloach manot, sending food to friends. On the day of Purim, we send 2 items of food to at least one person. That's the mitzvah. 2 items to at least one person. Why is that? Because the Megillah says, I will read it again. Remember here? They were to make them their celebration, rejoicing, sending portions, plural, to each other, singular. Okay? And the next one will be giving gifts to the poor. The problem is in English, poor doesn't have plural. It sounds like singular, but if you go to the original Hebrew, which said matanot, plural, la evionim is the plural of poor. So you will know that the same way that the rabbis read portions to a friend, we have to give charity to poor, plural. So at least 2 people. You have to find tomorrow at least 2 people and give them charity. That's the mitzvah. We're going to see that in a minute. But going back here, okay, remember, 2 items to at least one person. It's called mishloach manot. It is preferable to send ready-to-eat foods or drinks. The food should be of a respectable quantity according to the standards of the sender and recipient. Okay? This is good. In other words, don't be cheap if you can afford giving something nice. That's what it's implying here. Okay? Just don't shoot the messenger. This is what the rabbis passed to us. They're basically saying, don't be cheap if you can afford a nice gift during Purim. So, the reason for this mitzvah is to ensure that everyone has sufficient food for the Purim feast. More to the point, this increases love and friendship between people, providing an ideal opportunity to embrace our fellow Jews, irrespective of any religious or social differences. After all, this is very important, Haman, as Hitler, for example, did not discriminate among us. You see, Haman didn't ask, do you have an Orthodox or a conservative or Reform conversion or whatever? No, Jews were Jews. He didn't ask who you were. So this is a time of the year, specifically, we don't discriminate. We don't discriminate. And we have this beautiful message here in Purim. So we increase this idea of connecting with each other by giving to each other gifts. So for this reason, it is particularly good to give gifts to those who you may have an argument with, or someone new in the community who needs a new friend. Beautiful message. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And again, you can give it in advance, but the best way is if you can take the day of Purim, which is basically all day tomorrow, to fulfill this mitzvah. And the other one that I mentioned, it was mentioned in the book of Esther, was matanot la'evyonim, gifts to the poor. So how we do it? On the day of Purim, it is also a special mitzvah to give money to at least 2 poor people. And it's called matanot la'evyonim. Each poor person should be given at least the amount of food, or the equivalent, right, the amount of food that is usually eaten at a regular meal, the amount of money required to buy this. If you do not know who is qualified to receive the gifts, then give the money to an authorized charity collector who will distribute the money on Purim for the purpose of fulfilling this mitzvah. It is better to spend more on gifts to the poor than on mishloach manot. There is no greater joy than gladdening the hearts of orphans, widows, and poor people. The Jewish people are one unit. We can't possibly enjoy the holiday if poor people don't have enough. Said that, the tradition is matanot la'evyonim, mishloach manot, sending these portions of food. We do it to Jewish people, but matanot la'evyonim, the gifts to the poor, to everybody. You know somebody that is poor? Before you celebrate Purim yourself, we give money to somebody who is in need, Jew or non-Jew. That's the thing. Any questions? I haven't checked because I was looking at the chat, and all you guys are talking is about money. So any questions about Purim at all? Because otherwise I can see the chat is very quiet now that we finished the topic of the half dollar and stuff. Nope. Okay, so let's continue with the next mitzvah for the day of Purim. The next one will be the Purim meal. Surprise, surprise. Jewish holiday, and we are commanded to eat. Where have I heard that before? Let me see. Oh, pretty much every holiday. Hello, Carrie. Welcome. So don't recall, Rocket Pollock, you said, don't recall a lot about giving when we learn in Cheder about Purim. Okay, I can't comment about that. I never studied in a Cheder. Never went to Hebrew school, but yeah, I remember we used to bring tzedakah to school, and we probably put it there in a pushka. We never gave money directly to anybody. It was always done through the school, but we did do this kind of giving things to each other. So it was beautiful time as Hebrew day school. Yeah. So we all know Purim meal. The day's grand finale is the festive meal, the Purim Seudah feast, and should begin during the daytime and extend until after dark. Something that is very interesting. This is actually different from other holidays. I don't know if you noticed. My mother is here. Hola, mam. ¿Cómo está todo? Chag Sameach. Yeah, she's connecting from Argentina. You see, this is a great thing of internet. There is no borders. You can live in Argentina and studying in Winnipeg, or you can live in New York and davening in Winnipeg. It's great to be connected through the internet. So, I was saying that the difference with the Purim meal, and this differs from all other holidays that I know of, is that the Purim, the meal, the big one, is done at the end, not at the beginning. Think about Passover or Rosh Hashanah. We have this big meal at the beginning. That's the way we kick off the holiday, and then we celebrate. On Purim, we celebrate first and we eat big time after. The other time of the year that we do something like this is Yom Kippur. Have you noticed that? Yom Kippur, the same. After Ne'ilah, big meal. Well, the rabbis say that Purim and Yom Kippur are connected. In fact, Yom Kippur is not called Yom Kippur, it's called Yom HaKippurim. Even if you don't know Hebrew, listen to this again. Yom HaKippurim. Kippurim. Same word, Purim. One is Kippurim, the other one is Purim. And in fact, if you want to become a little bit more mystic here, Kippurim could be split into two words that means like Purim. Oh, so Yom HaKippurim is the day that it is like Purim. And yet, they can't be more different. Yom Kippur, we don't eat. Purim, everything is done in excess, and we indulge our body in excess. And I can see here, Peter already said, why drink to excess? But you see, Peter, everything is done in excess during Purim, everything. And we are going to see that in a minute. Yom Kippur is all about the soul. Purim seems to be all about the body. Yom Kippur is all about God. In Purim, the book of Esther is the only book in the Bible that does not contain the name of God, not even once. So there are perhaps two sides of the same coin, with Yom Kippur representing the pure soul and Purim representing pure body. But then the idea is to put the two together and to realize that there is one God that is above both. That both body and soul, they have to work together into reaching God. So it's not that there is no body on Yom Kippur or there is no soul on Purim. And also there is that it's not really that there is no God on Purim. The fact that the name of God is not written in the Megillah, it means that it's not explicitly written, but it's there if you know where to look for it. So the presence of God is overwhelming the presence of God in the book of Esther. You can see, quote unquote, God everywhere, but the name is not there. And you know that will probably make the book of Esther the closest thing I know of our lives. Because we live in a generation that is like book of Esther. It's not like Yom Kippur. Our life is like a book of Esther in the sense that we don't have the explicit presence of God the way Moses had it, or the generation of the Exodus had it, or any other generation mentioned in the Torah where they have these miracles that you could not challenge. We live in a times where God is present, but you have to work hard to find the presence of God because it's not explicitly there anymore. You have to learn to find God between lines. So that's what is the message of Purim. And it should be combined with the spirit of Kippurim, the Day of Atonement. So the two are indeed connected. So let's see what's going on here in the chat. Fast feast later. My mom says she's todo bien. That means everything is good. Chag Sameach. Okay, good to know. So yeah, Peter, let's talk about your question. Why drink to excess? Well, in the Talmud says that Rava, who was a rabbi, estamos de Talmud, a man must become so intoxicated on Purim that he cannot tell the difference between cursed be Haman and blessed be Mordechai. That's probably a lot of drink. And why is that? Well, I believe that the idea here is to experience, even if it's for a second, the fact that curse and blessing, most of the time, depends on our perception. Who can tell that something is a curse or a blessing? Who decides? I know you will say, well, it's the way we experience things. But how many times we got things in our lives that we thought was a blessing, and then it ended up being a curse, and vice versa. Something that at the beginning we thought it was bad, and then it ended up being a big blessing. I know stories of people, and I always give the same example because I love this one. And in fact, there are shows about it on TV. People who won the lottery. And they felt that was the biggest blessing of their lives. Go Google it, because you will see that most of the time they are horror stories. How something that they was perceived as a blessing at the time ended up being a curse in the long run. And sometimes happens the other way around. People that maybe they lost their jobs. And they said, this is the worst curse that ever happens to me. And then eventually, because they started either a new endeavor or they were hired somewhere else, and they are better off than they were before. So in the long run, it was a blessing. But this is just an example, right? So at the end of the day, the rabbis will say there is not really curse and blessing. What it is faith in God, faith in Hashem. So there's a fine line between the curse and the blessing that in Purim, because we drink a little bit, gets blurry, because that's life. Curse and blessing should be blurry because we don't really know what it is. We don't really know. We just trust that Hashem knows what Hashem is doing. And we just keep moving forward, giving our best, giving our 100%. That's our goal. That's our goal. So on Purim, hopefully, we learn that again, it's all related to the fact that we don't perceive God explicitly. So we don't really know if something is a curse or a blessing. We don't. That's not the way the world works. But we try to rationalize, and we still believe, yeah, this is a curse, it's a blessing, and so forth. But on Purim, we can't, because that drink makes everything blurry. So we don't have that kind of internal conversation in our head. And hopefully you should learn that lesson. You should learn that lesson. That there is no curse or blessing. What it is faith on Hashem. And again, faith doesn't mean that you know what is going to happen. Faith means that you believe that at the end of the day, everything is for your very good, even if you don't understand yet why. Any questions? You see, Michael, you still talk about money. You say the two sides of the same coin. Sorry, I'm in a goofy mood today. It's Purim. Should be making jokes. We keep talking about coins. All the class. So the other thing that we do on Purim is look at this, masquerading. Although some of us we've been playing masquerading all year round, wearing the mask every day. So as I mentioned before, this is the first year that I already know which mask I'm going to wear for Purim. Okay, so masquerading. It is a way of emulating God, who disguised his presence behind the natural events described in the Purim story, and has remained concealed yet ever present in Jewish history since the time of the destruction of the first temple. Since charity is a central feature of the day, when givers or recipients disguise themselves, this allowed greater anonymity, thus preserving the dignity of the recipients. That's another reason. Persian exile throughout the Purim story. And since hides behind... what do I try to say here? Okay. Never mind. So basically, this is another things. It's talking about Persian exile was the beginning, according to the rabbis, the beginning of the end of this explicit or the direct perception of the presence of God. Okay? So from that point on, all the... no, Shelly, Darth Vader is not coming this year. No. Actually, the mask is so hot, I can't wear it for too long anyway. Okay? So that's one of the reasons of the masquerade. It's and by the way, I don't know if you realize that the book of Esther, everything is hidden. Everything. God is hidden. Esther is hidden, because Mordecai told Esther, please don't say that you're Jewish. So she was in the palace, hidden. She hid her religion from everybody, or her people. So lots of hidden things in the book of Esther, and lots of hidden messages, by the way. It's one of my favorite books of the Bible, because it talks to me. It is the way we perceive life. We don't perceive life the way the Torah talks about life. Yes, it's beautiful to read about the 10 plagues and the crossing of the Red Sea. It's wonderful. I love it. But that's not the way it works. That's not the way we perceive miracles. Yes, and again, of course, we believe in miracles, but miracles don't happen that way. Even if you believe that you had a miracle in your life, if you want to tell me about it, then you would still have to prove yourself and explain why you think it was a miracle. And I would probably find a way to try to explain it rationally and blah, 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 but if I'm in front of the Red Sea and the Red Sea, poof, splits in front of my eyes, come on, I can't challenge that because it's a different kind of miracle. We don't experience life that way anymore. We experience life the way the story of Esther is described. And that's why I believe this is an amazing holiday. And it's a shame that it's presented as a kid's holiday. Or perhaps that's the way it should be, because it's one more time where the real meaning is hidden behind this childish veil. Yeah. Michael, Star Wars reference to Darth Vader. No, what Shelley says is that Darth Vader was my costume last year, and probably for the last couple of years. I've been using this kind of, yeah. So Peter, you say whoever is intoxicated. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Again, wine and intoxication is a bad thing. It's this time where we kind of look at something positive about intoxication, and it's the fact that we cannot rationalize. That's exactly what it is. That was intoxicated people cannot be wise because you cannot use your brains. You can't rationalize things. But in this case, it's almost like the rabbi said, you know what, for once, not trying to rationalize, it's good. It's good because if you cannot rationalize, all what you have is your faith in God. But it's like a flash, just for a second to perceive that. Yeah, Michael, if you're on Facebook, I don't know if you're on Facebook, we have on our Shari Zedek page a video that I uploaded. What was it? 2-3 years ago that we did a Star Wars Shabbat. We were covered by local media and everything. It was great. And you will see me playing Darth Vader on that video. That was one of the first videos that I put together. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, masquerading, another thing that we do in Purim. What else we do? Traditional food. Shelly, you mentioned that before. Okay? The Hamantashen. On Purim, triangular pastries called Hamantashen. And actually, Hamantashen, which is Umentashen, basically means poppy seeds pockets. I'm sorry, guys, it does not mean Haman ears. That's not what it means. Even though in Hebrew it's called Oznei Haman, which is Haman's ear, but that's not what originally was, with poppy seed pockets. And then eventually they evolved into having different fillings, but you never knew what you were going to get, again, because everything is hidden on Purim. That's what it is, right? So, but in these days, it's a sweet pastry dough. It's rolled out, cut into circles, and traditionally filled with prune, poppy seeds, now chocolate, dulce de leche, and many other things. And then you do a triangular shape with the filling either hidden or showing. Okay? So again, why everything is hidden in this book? Well, because what is the name of the book? Type it on the chat. What is the name of the book that we read? Let's see if you were paying attention. Megillat, what? By the way, while we have people, remember to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so. So you will be notified every time we go live. Okay? Just hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell. And also, if you like this video, give us the thumbs up. You will probably see it there. So, yep. So, very, very good. Peter, Rocky, Shelley, the Book of Esther. What does Esther mean? Well, actually, the name the word Esther already appears in the Torah, in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 31st. Look at this. The Talmud says, what does Esther allude to in the Torah? As it is written in Deuteronomy 31:18, Va'anochi astir panai beyom ha'u al kol hara asher asa ki fana el Elohim achareihem. But I will be hiding my face from them because of all the evil that they will have done in turning to other gods. This is a prophecy mentioned in the book of Deuteronomy, which already say God is going to hide his face. It means that, yeah, right now you can perceive my presence in a very special way. But it's going to be a time in history where, because you will be so far away from me, says God, that I'm going to hide my face from you. When is that? Well, after the destruction of the temple. And what happened after the destruction of the temple? The book of Esther. So this is the generation that is experiencing for the first time in history this hiding of the face of God. What is the word used in the Torah for the prophecy? Astir. What is the book that we read on Purim? Esther, which is the same spelling, because it means hidden. And that's why everything is hidden. It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence at all. It's because this was already a prophecy, that this was already going to happen. And now we have to learn to perceive, to find, and to relate to God in a different way. It's not going to be like before, that the presence of God was evident. Now we have to work hard to find it, because God is hidden. What happens when somebody is hidden? Have you ever played the hide and seek? You have to go and seek the other person, or you will never going to find it. You have to be proactive into doing it. Same thing happened with God. If we are not proactive into doing something, into finding the presence of God, we won't experience it, at least not in this generation. And that's basically what we do in Purim. So, do we have any questions from all of you? I'm going to go back here, because this is what I wanted to share with you today. And again, I hope you're going to be celebrating with us tonight. 6:45, we have the Purim program. But by the way, the program basically starts at 6 with service. Rina Sectoral Baz is going to lead Mincha Mariv from the sanctuary, and it's going to be a very interesting technical challenge. Because I'm going to capture her and put it on my computer here, and it's going to be streamed from my house. So cool, I like that kind of things. And then immediately after, we are going to move on into the reading of the Megillah, into some songs, and other good things for Purim. And Shelley, let's see what you see here. Are there any special attributes when one gives the name Esther to a baby girl? Well, not anymore. But because Esther, yes, it means hidden, but the character itself, the character of Esther, what she did was amazing. Was simply amazing. And the way she saved all the Jews of the generation. It was all about her courage, or what she did. She put her life at risk to save the Jews. In fact, there is something very interesting. In these days, we belong to liberal synagogues. Men and women are counted for minyan. It's not an issue anymore for us. But you know that in traditional communities, women are not counted for minyan. Why not? Well, because the minyan is supposed to be 10 people who are actually obligated to fulfill the mitzvah of praying, and women are not obligated to fulfill any mitzvah that is time sensitive. Since davening, since the prayer is time sensitive because it has to be in the morning, it has to be in the afternoon, and it has to be in the evening, so the rabbi said women are not obligated to this. But interestingly enough, you could, even in traditional circles, you can count women for minyan for the reading of the Megillah, because women are obligated to listen to the Megillah. It's one of the few mitzvot that they are time sensitive, that women are obligated. The other one being, for example, the Shabbat candles. So because they are obligated to listen to the Megillah, they are officially invited to form part of the minyan for the reading of the Megillah. So that's a difference. Rocky Pollack, I was born on Purim. That's my excuse for whenever I misbehave. Good one. But I don't think so. Nevertheless, I think it's great. It's great to always to be born in a holiday. You can never forget your Jewish birthday. You ask me which one is my Hebrew day of birthday. I don't know, because it was nothing special. I was born in January. Nothing happened. So, hey, Rocky, you have a point there. You will always remember what is your Hebrew birthday. Okay, so thank you everyone for tuning in. It's great to have you here again one more time. Remember, subscribe, right? Shelly, you were born in Kol Nidre. Wow. That's also true. And Megillat Esther, tonight, 6:45. Hope you see you there. For now, have a wonderful day and goodbye. Chag Sameach, everyone.